would like to ask the AG to propose legislation for what we call small claims court. There are lots of poor people, to an example you just gave, that they have issues with others and sometimes with large firms, but the lawyer fee is greater than the fee you're claiming.
It is their
right.
Yes. A right, the right that someone has. All of our rights exist in context.
What is the context of a second medical opinion?
Because you're disrespecting the process.
No.
Jesus, this is common sense, man.
Any situation which you see in the group, you're just dealing with actual guidance issues. If one, you can't bring and pull the leaders of the African community together, you're failing. And if two, you can't put forward a future, a blueprint, and a plan for African Guyanese, you're failing as well.
Pleasant evening to you wherever you are. This is the Freddie Kissoon Show. Thanks for being with us. It's going on to more than 3.5 years. And the two guests you will see this evening are people that will be with us until the show ends. That's because when we started, they have given us their consent to appear, and they have appeared and appeared and appeared. And within that context and in that kind of scenario, we are very grateful to them. Nobody in Guyana, no podcasts, no letters in the media is discussing the Iranian war. The Iranian war is very, very serious in terms of the world. No one will be exempted for it. So we will come to that. But there's something I want to raise, and I'm sorry Leonard Craig is not here because I want to raise it with him, because he declined to answer the question, and I don't think my other two guests have answered it. Our two guests are Rajendra Bissesar and Michael Carrington. As you would know them. They've been, this is probably the 8th, 9th, 10th time they've been on this program. Carrington holds the current status as Assistant Chairman for the Alliance for Change. And he said on this program that in the scheme of things, he will be third in line in the leadership. Now, there's something I want to ask, something I asked Craig and he declined. I asked Trevor Williams, he declined. And Trevor Williams, Leonard Craig, and my two guests were in the room when this thing happened. And I can't remember if Carrington has declined and Rajendra Bissesar have declined. I know Trevor Williams have declined and Leonard Craig. Now, why have they declined? Let's look at this incident in this room in May 2015. And it's up to Carrington and Bissesar to explain if they're not going to answer it. But Bissesar has a degree in law, so at least he should know about libel. Now, libel, I am not trained in law, but my understanding of being 38 years in the media, libel is the imputation, the accusation of something done, of some action or some behavioral trait which is not true and is a reflection of the character of the person. I'll give you an example. He liked boys. It means this guy's a married man and you're saying he liked boys. That's a behavioral trait. And he's saying I'm a married man. If you say I like boys, you're saying I have a behavioral trait. Every bank he works at, he's engaged in fraud. You're talking about an action of the person. So libel is the assignment of an accusation that involves behavior, action, etc. Now, in May 2015, the Alliance for Change was picking their ministers. And in the room were all the AFC leaders, all without exception. So you could call them Nigel Hughes, Cathy Hughes, Kema Dramjatan, Dominique Gaskin, all of them. And at that meeting to select the ministers, a number of top AFC leaders called a woman and asked the woman if she would like to be the Minister of the Environment. Now, is it libelous to say the AFC called Mina and offered her the job of Minister of Finance? Is it libelous to say the PNC called John Jones when it won the election in 2015 and offered him the position of Foreign Minister? You are not assigning any word at all to that minister or to that person. You are not saying the person refused because they wanted $5 million. You're not saying the person refused or accept. You are simply saying that person was communicated and offered the Ministry of the Environment. I asked Craig to name the person because I've written about it 6 times and said it 3 times on this program. Craig said it's not for him to name the lady, that's for the AFC. What Craig, and nobody has jumped on Craig to tell him that he was in the AFC leadership. So how can he just say it's for the AFC? He was part of the event. Trevor Williams said he doesn't want to say it. He was in the room. So I'm asking Carrington and Bissesar, first of all, if they're unsafe or unsure in the area of libel laws, to say the AFC offered Mina or Mina Balgabin a ministry position. I can't see how that could be libelous. I really can't see how that could be libelous. But I'm asking alphabetically Bissesar, then Carrington. Is it libelous for us now, as you were in the room, to name the lady?
First of all, libel essentially is a false accusation that is purposefully meant to defame an individual, to make the person look bad in the eyes of the average, reasonable human being. That is maybe one small definition. But the key word is to defame. Now, frankly speaking, I can't remember the name of the person, but to say that X person was asked to become a minister would not be libelous to anybody. It's a statement of fact as to what took place in a meeting, and there's nothing libelous about it.
So if you could remember the name, you would say it?
But yes, I would say it.
And if we are, okay.
I would say it if I could remember it.
Right.
But it's not libelous. It's not libelous. We took a decision to call the person, to ask the person to accept the position of minister.
Now, if we call the name, we're just saying that the AFC called this person and leave it at that.
No, there's nothing libelous about that. It's a statement of fact.
Carrington, you could remember who's that person?
First of all, good night, everyone. First of all, Freddie, I think you just said this matter come up. You wrote about 6 times about this matter.
Yeah.
You also heard about 3 times you heard it on TV. And you keep bringing up this particular matter over and over and over to find out who is that person.
I will tell you why.
And majority of the people say that they cannot remember.
No. Trevor Williams declined.
Declined.
And
they know the name.
Leonard Craig declined.
Yeah, well, the name, I cannot remember the name at that particular point. I cannot remember the name of the individual who somebody called at that particular time.
All right.
I can't remember the name.
But it's not libelous to call
you
them.
know the person.
Yes, and I will call them and I would want to know if you could remember that person. You were in the room. Now, Now, how do I put it over? If I call the name, I'm wondering if you would say, "Oh, it's not familiar to me." I'm wondering, okay, I am going to call the name because over the past 5 years,
10 years.
over the past 10 years, I've written about it shortly after the AFC came to power. I was having lunch at a restaurant called L'Excellence in Charlotte Street. And there was Craig there was Marlon Williams, there was Trevor Williams, and they found it strange. And there was an annoyance that why were they overlooked for this lady who they didn't know was, I don't want to say anything about the lady, who they didn't know as having an association with the AFC. And when I wrote about that, I have got emails and emails. When this Freddie Kissoon show started 3.5 years ago, I have got people saying, "Freddie, who's this lady? Freddie, you always talk about this lady." And I wanted to raise it the last time we were in the gardens. But one of the guests was Carrington and Bissesar, and he would not have known about that. And now we're meeting again, and the two of you were in the room, and I want to raise this thing now with the two of you. Now, I explain why I'm raising it, because people keep asking me, who is this woman? And Carrington and Bissesar, I think both of you are seasoned politicians, and Bissesar is an academic, has a degree in law and sociology. We know that people write their autobiographies. We know that people write biographies because things go into the history books. People want their things to go in the history books. People 20, 25, 40 years ago, people want to know how the PNC started, how the AFC started, why John Jones was expelled, why Mary Smith became the eventual head, why Sunil Rambaran, after being so long, didn't make it to the top. People want, so I thought we should fill that gap and say to people, look, the AFC called this lady and asked her if she would like the Minister of Environment.
I called one other person who we had called to become a minister, and he declined. That's Dr. Surendra, I think Surendra.
Surendra Prasad, the medical doctor.
So there's nothing libelous about that. It's a fact. We called, he declined.
I don't know.
Now, if I knew the person, I would have
said, now,
I would have said
I
yes.
cannot see how that person could go and tell a judge, he defamed me.
No.
And he defamed me. How if someone of the prominence
of throw it out.
How of the prominence of Nigel Hughes, Raphael Trotman, Kemba Jamtatan, they call you and ask you if you would like to be the Minister of Environment.
You decline.
The only defamatory aspect I see in those things is if a person call you who's a convicted person, has bad association.
No, even then.
I mean, so I am going to ask both of you now. The person who holds a doctorate in forestry, and her name is yes, and her name is Dr. Raquel Welch. Does that ring a bell?
It sounds familiar. That's why I think she worked at Ikurama.
Yeah.
I know we called somebody who was working at
Ikurama. She was the head of Ikurama at the time.
Yeah, but there's nothing libelous in saying that we did call her.
Could you remember it was Dr. Raquel Thomas? But you know you called somebody at Ikurama.
I think somebody from Ikurama.
That
qualified in
forestry, right. That name rings a bell to you, Carrington?
I can't remember the name.
Dr. Raquel Thomas?
Yeah, I can't remember the name.
I remember
well, we're not going to say anything further. I just want to fill that gap in history.
And let's move on.
That the AFC called Dr. Raquel Thomas. I don't know Raquel Thomas, I don't know anything about Water
In fact,
Towers.
if we call somebody not libelous.
So let's move on. We have had no podcasts in this country, no intellectual discussion on television or social media or in the newspaper about what's going on between Iran and Israel. Now this is what I have heard through extensive investigation, reading social media, reading podcasts. There is terrible destruction in Israel. The Ben Gurion airport has been destroyed.
Report in Haifa.
But you go any newspaper around the world, now apparently a minister has died, or a minister's wife or brother has been killed, and we're not hearing anything. There is a complete blackout of news of what's going on in Israel. My understanding is Israel is being destroyed. I don't know if you guys have heard that.
Well, the reality is, I believe that the Israel government would have learned sense at the end of the 12 Days War, because it is a known fact. And by the way,
You have to tell people what's the 12
the
Days War.
mainstream media in America is not posting these things either. They're blacking it out. But what I do know, after the 12 Days War and the destruction and the promise made by Iran as to what they will do, I thought these people would have better sense. But it seems they don't, because Iran was preparing for this for the past 20-something years. They know they can't match with air power, so they concentrated on missiles and drones. And they're wreaking havoc, not only on Israel, but in all the most of the American bases in that area: Bahrain, Qatar, Kuwait,
Oman.
Saudi Arabia, Oman. All of them are being hit. And the thing is this is escalating. And the thing is, there seems to be an escalation ladder, and the West have fallen into that, what we call the escalation trap. Iran makes it clear, I'm not discussing wrong and right here, but Iran made it clear that if you hit my gas, I'll hit the gas in the region and in Israel. If you hit my university, I will do the same. If you hit my business, I will do the same. And they've done that. And so if you threaten to hit Iran's desalination plant, it's unfortunate, but they will hit the desalination plant in Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and those places. And those places depend on this. Millions will die because they don't have any other source of water. So my only thing, somebody need to have some sense and do not go up the escalation ladder, because for Iran, whether good, bad Iran, is an existential threat to Iran. The fact is, Iran says we're not going to be building the nuclear weapon. There's a fatwa by Ayatollah, and people obey that. That has not changed.
Okay. So Carrington, what's your take on what's going on? We may suffer a serious oil shortage. I hope we don't suffer shortage of goods and services as the war drags on. It's gone into a month now.
Everyone will suffer, not just the Middle East, but all over the world will suffer. Iran did not attack anybody. Iran was attacked after negotiation.
While it was going on, yeah.
While the negotiation was going on, Iran has been attacked. We got to study why Iran has been attacked. Any country that promised that they will change the status quo in terms of purchasing oil with another currency, there's a big problem. Any country. There's a lot of documentation and interviews and all kinds of things on the internet. Iran was pushing for people to buy oil in another currency, just like Venezuela was pushing for people to buy oil in a different currency. Just like Gaddafi had wanted to create a currency for Africa. Anytime you try to do that, you have a big problem, because long people start purchasing oil or anything in other currency, then there's a less demand on the US currency. And when is the less demand on US currency, then US currency will tumble, because demand is what basically keep the price, the cost for a dollar up in the air. If it have no demand, then that dollar will fall.
If I may,
Yeah, sure.
it is not only the question of oil. When you refine crude oil, you get about 47 different products. So one of the areas that will be extremely hit hard will be fertilizer.
Yeah, 40.
When you refine, you get fertilizer, you get bitumen, you get grease, you get so much, about 47 additional product, and those will also become short in the world. So we'll have that problem. So your agriculture input like fertilizer will go up. Secondly, the issue here after the 12 Days War and after the attitude toward Iran is as such, Iran recognizes if we stop now, they will do it again. So Iran's position is they're going all out. They're going all out because right now Israel is in trouble because the way they manufacture interceptor missiles is very slow. So they're going to run out of interceptor missiles. So Iran will have a field day. And many analysts like Colonel McGregor, like Scott Ritter, and these are people in the
Jeffrey Sachs.
Jeffrey Sachs, yeah.
in the U.S. Army, and they've made it quite clear that at the end of this war, Israel may not be, because when you look at the fact that the reserve, Israel has a lot of reserve soldiers, and when they're called to the war machinery, then they're not there to do construction, they're not there to work in the factories, so it's crazy.
All right, let me put this to both of you, and I think you're quite capable of understanding it because of your years of experience in politics. We have about 5 individual regions in Guyana that is bigger than Israel, and we have about 2 regions I think is about the size of Israel. I think region 1 and region 8. Israel is 8,000 square miles. How can a country of 8,000 square miles take on a country with more than 500,000 square miles and 25 times their population? If the United States didn't start the bombing with Israel, if it was a direct clash between the two, how in scientific technological terms, how in modern warfare technology could a landmass of 8,000, Region 9, Upper Takatu, Upper Essequibo, is 3 times the size of Israel?
It's not only that, the terrain.
Couldn't you systematically bomb 8,000 square miles out of existence?
They could, but the last time when they actually helped, Iran stopped. Iran could have continued, they stopped. But this time, Iran's position is we're not stopping. Because it's like you take your eyes and pass it.
I don't know nothing about engineering.
I want to give them another issue.
8,000, and by the way, the population is 8 million.
These people have the feeling,
Iran is 93 million.
They have the feeling we have air superiority, you could do it. But in Iraq they failed. They bombed Serbia for 78 days, straight days. It didn't succeed in regime change. So I don't know, they're living in some parallel universe as far as I'm concerned. But I want to raise another issue with regard to that war. We have a problem with fuel and scarcity. And in 2022, in 2016, I wrote about the need for a refinery in this country. I indicated we have a developed project for a refinery in the Palmyra area. In 2022, I had another letter in the press indicating that there's a potential, I predicted it, you know, I said there's a potential for war in the Middle East, and therefore a refinery in Guyana would solve this, would be energy security for Guyana, the Caribbean, and even the state of Rhode Island.
But what's happening with the refinery in Trinidad? Anyone, you know?
Let me finish, I'll deal with it. Now, Changali wrote a letter in the press the other day talking about why do you want a refinery in Guyana when Trinidad has a surplus. Now, Trinidad refinery has a potential capacity of 165 barrels per day. 165. But
5,000 or
165,000 barrels a day. The problem is there that it's done it badly. It'll take a lot of investment to put it back in place.
The refinery in Trinidad,
refinery itself,
that's because of non-use?
It's done. Whatever it is done.
So there's no oil being refined in
lack
Trinidad?
of maintenance and all kind of things. Jamaica has a 50,000 barrel, but they are produce over 25. The reality is
Jamaica
this.
produces oil?
Yeah, the reality is this, refinery. The reality is this. The CARICOM alone needs about 465,000 barrels of energy per day. And if you have, therefore you need a refinery capacity of over 800,000 barrels per day. So when they talk over, they don't know what they're talking about. But the idea of this project that we have there, and the company got $5 billion US to build this refinery. $1 billion US to,
All right.
let me just finish.
Yeah, but
okay. And $1 billion, $4 billion to build a refinery.
Okay.
And that project is being blocked by the vice president.
Let's continue on our theme. Where you see this war ending? How do you see it ending? Carrington?
With my opinion, at the present moment, how I see the war going at the present moment, it ended in a big disaster. I mean, Iran might be destroyed, but many countries...
No, but if Iran is destroyed, Israel cannot exist. That's half a million square miles.
Right, but Iran, the infrastructure so may destroy, but a lot of other countries around Iran will be destroyed. And the next thing I think I am seeing is that people will get up and fight for Iran. If there's a ground invasion with boots on the ground, you'll have people from Iraq going to fight for Yemen. You have people from Syria will go and fight. You might have people from Afghanistan and all of those places. You got to understand Iran is the last of 7 countries, Muslim countries with being attacked within a 20-year period.
Tell me who requested it.
Yeah, and that whole plan of that war is since 1996, I think. Since 1996, they plan to actually destroy 7 countries, and 7 countries, the majority of them producing oil. 6 are already destroyed. Iran, I think, is the last country where they're destroyed. For what God in heaven knows, what control or what they want, God in heaven knows. They wanted to, in my opinion, Israel wanted to control that whole area. And Israel
wants Greater Israel,
yes. And Israel is using the United States for doing the dirty work, Israel dirty work. And I'm totally against that. I don't think people should be fighting for take other people's country and wanted to control it. Allow people to live with their own culture, their own belief. This is my personal feeling. If people want to live a particular way, let them live a particular way. You cannot force Western values on people like the people of Cuba, the people of Venezuela, the people of Nicaragua and all of those places. You don't need to force. Let the people live how they feel comfortable, how they enjoy living. So my thing is, I am praying and asking that the war must stop. This war must stop. Innocent people being killed. Many children be killed. If you look and see the amount of people being killed in Iran compared to the amount that killed in Israel. Iran is not bombing populated area. It's far less in Israel. It's not bombing a large populated area. If Iran bombs somewhere, I made to understand they are actually calling and telling them where they are coming.
It's the nature of the religion.
Yeah,
I think
they are notifying people where they are coming.
They want to kill people.
I think the Ayatollah did not, when he was alive,
he did not
want to bomb the nuclear plant in Israel.
No, they don't want.
But
if you bomb his plant, then they will make a decision. And the worst scenario now is the Ayatollah, where they hold him back. This thing is not there no more. You kill the Ayatollah, you kill the family and everything. What you build? You build hate, dislike.
You know, Freddie, right now that war united the Iranian
Muslim-
people
yeah,
supporting it. But I want to say this. I think to explain something, the Strait of Hormuz is blocked. Now, the Yemenis is going to block the Suez Canal and the Red Sea. So Saudi Arabia was trying to channel oil through the pipeline to a point and then through the Red Sea. So Yemen is blocking those two. So that's the end of oil transiting through the area. Iran is allowing Chinese oil to go to
they're
China
allowing,
and so
yeah,
on.
yeah.
The allies. Now I want to say this, a point that is very contentious because of Western control and influence over our minds. That word is capitalism. You have 7 very rich capitalist countries that got rich through slavery and colonialism. You have 170 poor ones. Now those 7 countries need natural resources. So whatever is going on is not delinked from the type of economic system that we have. A system where a 1% could get super rich, and that 1% controls the governments of America and controls the governments of the world. And they control the means of disseminating information, so they control our minds. The 1% control our minds. And I'm appealing to those people in Guyana, try to question what you know. Very often I get into discussion with people and they argue against me and they try to prove me wrong and they just try to prove themselves correct. They need to open their minds and listen and learn, because we have 26 persons on this planet, 26 persons on this planet that owns more than the entire third world. I'll tell you something else. Last year, in 2025, 10 billionaires earned $680 billion. In fact, $668 billion
Wow.
in 1 year. During the COVID epidemic, the billionaires of America increased their wealth by $1 trillion. The entire working class increased their wealth by $1 billion. The unfortunate thing, these people can continue because they control your minds, and like Bob Marley said, there's mental slavery. Gramsci said we are culturally hegemonized, and Marx says we have false consciousness, because when you act to defend the people who exploit you instead of defending yourself and your own interests, the interests of the working class of this country. And that is why in my programs I keep saying, I don't want to hear about black, Indian, and Amerindian, because you have marginalized blacks, Indians, Amerindians, who are the most marginalized. We need to unite the working class of this country. That is the only way we can fight for our rights, and it's the only way we can get a better share of what this country can afford to give us. Most of the measures introduced by this present government benefits the upper class, the middle class. It is not trickling down. I want to say this to you. None of the parties in this country can tell us exactly what their plans are, what system they think of implementing. All of them are neoliberal, which means infrastructure, incentivize the private sector, and it will trickle down. It never trickled down. And all of you know that. It never trickled down. So I'm saying to you guys, it is time to unlearn and time to learn and develop new ideas about what is happening. Let me give you an example. In 2 years' time, the bridge, Bobby's River Bridge, will belong to the people of Guyana. Foolishly, the government decided,
All right.
let me just finish this part. Foolishly, the government decided that they're going to pay for the tolls. They're paying for it, our taxpayer money. But who benefits? The people with the car, the minibus, the trucks. They are reaping money every month. But the fare has not fallen for the ordinary
So
people.
I want to bring in Carrington here. Carrington, when we were arranging this interview, You told me you want to speak about the banking system and this cash.
Is asking of proof of income. I don't know where it come from. Is it from the Anti-Money Laundering Act? If it's coming from that, but they are asking for proof of income. So what is
So
taking?
all those ordinary people that then got a bank account, they can't get the cash plan?
They can't have a bank account because they have to show proof of earnings. Now you have many cases where you have a lot of housewives who get money from her husband. You have a lot of women get money from their boyfriend or whatever. You have men the same way. So you may have thousands of people not working on a day-to-day basis, but they still get money from family, friends, and those sides.
And they got people who get remittance, and they live on that remittance.
Right, so you got to prove that you get in this remittance. You got to prove that somebody, a husband or somebody, gave him money.
Why the government don't stop this?
I don't know why the government don't stop
intervene
it.
and
The
stop
government
it.
need to intervene with it.
I'm going to continue with this because I know
You need two ID too.
Yeah, you need to.
I'm going to continue with this.
Yeah. No, before I cut.
I'll tell you what the finance minister said.
Yeah.
The finance minister said that the world adheres to the same document called anti-money laundering. There's not a Trinidadian document or a European document. It's an anti-money laundering United Nations drafted. He said he can't understand if it's the same law, why there's so much hassle in Guyana. And I raised that question and I don't understand why he doesn't intervene.
Yeah. The banks, here what the banks does. If the bank know that you would hardly turning over money, remember the bank make money from money going in and coming out. You have to pay a fee. So if you have thousands of people, which basically is not having a monthly salary coming in or any large money coming in, the only money coming in is when the cash grant pay. Then the banks really basically don't need you because you hardly have transaction.
Yeah, they hustle small people.
They don't. So the thing is, my biggest thing here is, so people keep complaining to me, say, Michael Carrington, y'all got to deal with it. Why we cannot go back to the same thing? We use the voters registration list, we take off the dead people, and we print the check, and we do the same thing like the last time. This is what we have now. It's a disaster.
When I heard about it,
it's a big disaster.
When I heard that you got to register, you try yet? I'm not going through that. When I heard that the government said, go and get a bank account to collect
100,000.
I said no, that is going to be disaster because I don't think the government knows or familiar, even the Bank of Guyana governor, with what those banks are doing. Remember they don't interface with these banks. Remember, they're not small, unemployed people. So when they tell people to go and get a bank account to get your check, they don't know that is not going to happen.
You tell 600,000 people in Guyana to have a bank account. The banks them can't deal with 600,000 people.
Listen. Plus, you need two IDs.
Well, why your national ID card can't?
A lot of people don't have to.
I mean, you got to go and get a passport.
Secondly,
force you to get a passport.
That is why the passport office is being flocked like this. If the government
the national ID can't work?
If the government take a decision, even if you have two, if you have your ID, if you have your passport, it's expired. You can't travel with it. I am questioning why can't
it not if it expires now?
You can't use it.
Exactly. Why don't we allow it? Let me pass that. So if the passport is expired, it is still a valid ID.
You guys don't know how these kind of things pain me at my age. You
go on that internet and try to register. The amount of question they ask you
to get a bank account.
No, in terms of filling up the form to get the 100,000. Now they already take 600 and something thousand people information already. Write the check and give the people. This is bare confusion. I don't know who is the people thinking. These people are, as far as I'm concerned, educated fools. Their qualification is being a fool. How are you going to do it? You have people in the interior area, thousands of people all over Guyana.
But
There is no bank or no machine to push
people
anything.
don't have computer to register on
But
those
a lot of
things.
people them can't go on the phone and register. I'm telling you, a lot of people don't use phone like that. Some people just know to call on phone. a lot of people
that's
have
my
ways
phone.
called
My-
Mango
Mango
Pelter.
Pelter.
A lot of Mango. You can't go on the Mango Pelter and send in your information.
that-
You mean you
You
gotta
know-
go to a neighbor? You gotta
but
go
you
to
know
some
what? You know
place.
what I think. You
It's-
know what?
But the problem, the major problem, I think, is the banking system, as we said before. The banking system, the Anti-Money Laundering Act, do not provide for every single human being. You have to show how you're earning. Why you must have to show how you're earning?
If the minister says it's happening all over, you can walk into a bank in America.
Yeah, the
Open
minister
account.
said he don't understand
No, but
the
he's
hustling
no, who's
Guyana.
fault?
But
And
I
I thought
suppose.
I wrote a column about that and I said it, if he is the man in charge and he sees that Guyana especially hustling people, why he hasn't
These
intervened?
leaders live in a cloud. They don't know what's going on to the people at the bottom. I'll tell you what.
asking old people 80 years and all
I'll
kind of
to
thing.
get a bank account?
I'll tell you what.
Well, when they go into the bank for drama.
But the powers that be do not know what those banks are doing, people. Let me tell you something. I have a friend who migrated, worked a long time in UK. The guy come back to his home. And his money is the bank. He's sending it over to Republic Bank so he can live. You should see the hassle Republic Bank giving this man.
Listen, we had a businessman,
This
right?
man-
They
This
treat everybody
79
sometimes like if he has anti-money,
This- this-
laundering money.
This businessman was seeking financing for a project. It took 5 weeks and he couldn't get it open. He went to another bank and get it open. Republic Bank is probably the worst. Now, they said they want to know where the money coming from. They say it can come from Wells Fargo. They want his state bank statement from Wells Fargo. I said, look, once the money is leaving a bank in America, it's already cleared to come here. That's it.
But what I don't understand is civil society, opposition parties, the media, and the government just do not pick up on this bank nightmare. I've never, look, my job is to read everything. And I write a daily column. And I could tell you, I could call civil society groups. I have never read anything Guyana Human Rights Association talk about what these banks are doing. I've never heard Transparency International Guyana Institute. I've never seen or read Red Thread. They got a whole set of group, people I call the usual suspect. Nigel Westmoss, Alisa Chotz, Vanda Razdik, Danuta Razdik, Vidyarthi Kissoon, and a host of them, they never, guess what they do? All they're looking for is when the government make a mistake. And these things are crying out for redress. I've never seen. You got the AFC, you got Forward Guyana, you got WIN,
I wrote
you got
about
the
it.
PNC.
I wrote about it in the press too. You know.
Well, we discussed it before. Now, what we need to do in terms of this catchment, I'm asking the government of Guyana to go back to the same system that they had. You already have over 600,000 people register. The ones who you already give the payments through the banking system, cut the checks, get the people checks, take the dead people off the list and let the people get their money. This bank account system that they want people to go and open a bank account. People never open bank account. You are forcing people to
But
open a bank
what we
account.
don't know is those people who get rejected, they probably can't see the finance minister or the ministry people to tell them, look, the bank say I can't get an account.
Listen.
They probably don't have, you know the bank probably have rejected hundreds of people.
If you see people who trying to get affidavit with proof of earnings, and most people will end up lying.
No man, that's sad.
You hear
man,
me?
that's
You force
sad.
people to lie.
No.
Because if people got to say they're walking somewhere or they're doing something when they are not doing anything.
I want to look at another aspect though. The government gave in 1 year $25,000. In the next year, it gave 100,000. The other year, zero. Now we are getting 100,000. I want to say this. I don't understand personally why most of the measures are like indicated earlier, university, gasoline tax removed, toll gate removed is benefiting an upper section of the population. Why is it we are giving the rich and the poor? I am saying,
Why is it we giving the rich and the poor?
yeah, I am
You
saying,
mean why we giving them the same amount?
no, I am saying this. We need to have a well-defined professional welfare system that will address people who have needs. There is very little that this government does actually, that actually targets specifically that 58% of people in poverty in this country. There is no strategy. China had a strategy, removed 900 million. India had a strategy, they removed 400 million. We get 58% with oil money. There is nothing in the budget that strategizes those people at the bottom to take them out of poverty. Now let me take this 100,000. The first was 200,000 for family, right? Then 100,000 for adults. My question to you is this. You have a single parent with 4 children who are below 18. So she gets 100,000. Something is wrong in the way, these people are not thinking.
Well, I have to object there, Rajendra.
Well, you disagree.
No, it's your percentage of 58%. 58% of the population is not in poverty.
I
Okay.
think
And
it's
when-
40 or something.
Well, okay. But the World Bank is saying, okay, let's not, let's go with it,
But you
okay?
can't say
Let's
say glaringly false
Let's-
things
let's go-
and just say let's move
No,
on. You got to be more responsible
The
than
World
that.
Bank said that
Yeah,
too.
yeah. No, but that's a
Well, don't
that was
blame
a
me.
couple years ago.
Don't-
No. but-
don't blame me. What
no,
I'm saying,
but as a
call it
social
40%
commentator,
call it 40%.
you got to be more responsible.
Call it 40%. I'm
But
saying,
I want to
call it 40%. The fact is, it's not, and let me show you something else. When you're giving increase to the population, for Christ's sake, the workers, 10% across the floor. So a worker with 100,000 gets 10,000. The man earning $1 million gets 100,000 a month. Now, give the people at the bottom more to lift them up. Now you give 100,000 people, they're working 100,000 a month. You give 10,000 for child. He's not a benefit. The point is, most of the measures I'm positing here benefiting.
But could we
At certain level.
could we keep carping on the bank account disaster? Because when
I think we have dealt with
when
it.
I heard it, no, but I want to emphasize it. When I heard about that, I know that would have been a disaster because it's the government has no say and the government isn't facilitating it. What the government said is John, Sunil, Sita, Amawaru, etc., go and get a bank account. What I think the government should have done is set up a meeting with the Bank of Guyana and the Banking Association, say, listen, we're giving this 100,000 away. Please automatically give these people an account so their money could go in there. But the bank asking a million questions.
No, but the bank don't want a whole set of accounts in the bank that's not going to be used.
To manage 600,000 accounts is not easy. I mean, it's computer,
I want to ask you one
but
question.
sometimes they still got to go through it.
According to you, which one of them in the government got your brains? Because you seem to know what to me. You seem to know, but the people in the government don't seem to know what the hell to do.
I think
So,
it's
I
a
don't
big, that is a big mistake. People, whoever want to open bank account, they open bank account. Who want a passport, they're going to get a passport. Your ID card you have to get
But
because
why
of the...
everywhere in the world, when ICE is a semi-fascist organization, reminds you of Nazi Germany. ICE asks for an ID, and you show ICE ID, John Smith, born in Louisiana, 1993,
And you,
social, and you're gone.
you don't have to get a
Why
passport.
you have to get two? Why they don't stop this nonsense? How you gonna
farmers
force
survive.
people to get a? Why? So could somebody explain why 2 pieces of ID when you vote? You vote
Voting
with one ID.
One ID card.
So you could vote and change a government,
with one ID.
or keep a government in power with one ID, but to collect $100,000 at the bank, you gotta go 2 ID. No man. What?
Not that you got to get 2 ID to, what I made to understand is to open the account. They want two form of ID. They were asking for. It's not really collecting their money. Two form of ID to open their account.
That means to
Yeah.
collect your money.
Yeah.
You gotta have a bank account to collect your money.
It's a mess. It's a big. I don't know.
Oh, okay, but
a
let
mess.
us the guy signal, operator signal, we gotta go. Let us. What is going to happen? Those people, those thousands of people, who was a carpenter 10 years ago, he break his foot, he don't walk nowhere, he ain't going to no bank to open an account because he's lived there today.
Yeah.
How is he going to get his 100,000?
Well, you gotta go and do some documents, state somebody giving his money to get proof of
So
earnings.
nobody is getting the 100,000
No,
unless they register?
No. To open a bank account, they're asking for proof of earnings.
But will you still get the money if you haven't opened a bank account?
Well, let me say
everybody knows.
Let me say
the
this.
government said yes.
Let
you
me
will
say
get
this.
it.
Last year pension book had extra pages. So I said it was a simple matter. Just put a value to the extra page in the book, and that's easily accountable.
No. But you know what's going on with the pension book now? Well, you guys have no idea. You want me to tell you what's going on with the pension book?
You want me
now?
to tell you?
No, let me tell you this that you don't know. Pension used to be collected at the post office. You had to go to the post office. It created confusion, so guess what the government did? They opened up a whole set of places. You got an MMG place in Fogarty's, and you go there and get your pension.
Okay.
Guess what they've done now? The Ministry of Social Services. Every pension book has to carry a post office stamp.
Yeah.
So every pensioner now
Gotta
has
go
to
to
go
the
to,
post.
and guess what? The post office pays out pension. So why you going to go to the post office, get your book stamp, and then go at a breathing hoop to collect right there and then?
I don't know who
So
put
in
these-
other words, now we going back to square one.
Yeah.
You got to collect your pension at the post
But my
office.
question still stands.
Oh,
There is
my.
an extra page in the book that you could put the value to, and automatically all the pensioners collect the cash grant. There's extra page in the book.
I don't know.
you
I don't know. I don't
But you
know.
understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I
So
have.
put a value to it, and that's it.
So when you filling up your form?
Form to do what? I don't know. At my age, I'm not computer literate. The last time I went at the convention center, I collected my check.
Yeah.
The operator signal, we have to go. Rajendra Bissesar and Michael Carrington, thanks for being with us. Leonard Craig couldn't make it. For all our viewers up there, we hope you enjoying the program. We talked about the Iranian-Israeli war, and we talked about bank hassle to get your $100,000. I hope you get your $100,000, even if you haven't registered it, don't know how to register it, and don't have a bank account. We will see you later. Bye-bye.